Hey folks, we're up here in New Hampshire today, and I wanted to chat with you a little bit about some observations and thoughts that I have regarding active shooters. So if you're a believer in the Second Amendment and our right to personal protection and self-defense, you carry. And as threats have appeared to become slightly larger in terms of potential terrorist threats, then you're probably thinking like I am of what do I need to do and what is my thought process around my everyday carry gear. And really the gear thing is a separate conversation that we can have another time. What I wanted to talk today about is really the thought process of that active shooter. What do you do? What do we recommend? What do we teach our students? And what have you thought through the consequences beyond the gun part of the gunfight, the fight part of it? So a lot of people are going out and they're getting firearms and they're exercising their constitutional right, and I'm very supportive of that. The one thing that concerns me a little bit is many people have a gun, they have a carry permit, but they really haven't had any kind of training. And the reason I know this is people come to classes or they'll come to competition and we'll see them shoot and we'll run them through some kind of stress test, and they have a very difficult time once the timer's on and there are a dozen people standing there watching them, and they've got to make a smooth, safe presentation from holster and actually get combat effective hits on a flat range with no incoming rounds. Many people really struggle to do that. When you add stress, so someone's screaming, when you add movement, when you add additional elements of then trying to shoot behind cover, move to cover as you're shooting, reloading, manipulating the gun, many people simply don't have the level of proficiency to be able to accurately get hits on the threat. So they miss, they do stupid safety things that could get themselves or other people's hurt. And therefore, I challenge folks to really think about what are we doing. So I have this tool. What's my responsibility? Well, I submit to you your responsibility is to have a high level of proficiency with the tool and have both trained with it, taken training, gotten instruction, practice with it to the degree that regardless of the situation, you can go on to a high level of execution in terms of the way in which you're running that gun, and be safe at all times. So what I preach and certainly what I like to share with folks is something that I've thought about for a long time, and my good friend, fellow instructor Greg Cruz, now down at Smith & Wesson, uses these five words, and I think he's right on point. And so I am now using sort of those five words as well to help people think through this. So from a defensive situation, we need to identify that the threat has weapon capability and intent. Secondly, as the person now in that defensive mode using a handgun or long gun or shotgun for self-defense, we need to make sure our decisions are court defensible and tactically sound. So you need those five elements as you're developing your plan. Someone walks in your door carrying a baseball bat. Do they have a weapon? Yes. Do they have capability? Maybe. Do they have intent? Well, no, not if they're saying, let's go out and play some softball. It's really important that you can articulate that in a court of law. So guys, I really want you to think about how you're planning to defend yourself and your family, particularly in an active shooter situation. What we teach in our classes and what we advocate is the following. Run or move away from the threat. So you're coming into an environment, you see a threat, turn around and run the other way. Why would you stand and engage a threat if you could get out? Your role, unless you're law enforcement, is not offensive, it's defensive. So we advocate moving away from the threat. Maybe you just come somewhere at night and you just, you drive up to a convenience store and you just get a really bad feeling. You know what? Don't go in the store. Drive your car away. Beat feet. Unask the area. Leave, because that could be your best solution, and that's situational awareness. The second one is, let's say you're in some sort of place where there is an active shooter involvement and something's going on real bad, right? Well, maybe you have the opportunity, if you can't run, maybe you have the opportunity to hide. And I'm not saying lie down, hide, and wait till someone executes you. I'm saying get behind someplace where the bad guy might not see you. The last one is fight. So we tried to run, we tried to hide. Those two options aren't available, and now we're in the fight scenario. And this is where training and a high level of proficiency with whatever platform you have come into play. If you've never shot under stress, if you've never done force on force, even simple force on force with airsoft or paintball, when someone is shooting at you, and rounds are coming this way, and there's a lot of noise and other stuff, I'm telling you, it is not the same as standing on a flat, static range. And what I've found in force on force, when I've had people shooting at me with simunitions, is I'm doing what my training was, right? Sort of blackout on everything else. You see a threat, I'm coming up, I'm seeing the front sight, and I'm just working the trigger. Most people aren't going to have a chance to do force on force, so what do? Well, you train, you get more training, you take another class, and you constantly are adding different perspectives of how you survive with training. Ultimately, this tool right here is simply a tool. Without the training, I don't have a level of proficiency that would allow me necessarily to be safe in an environment where there's active shooters and their innocents running around. Remember, unlike an active shooter who doesn't care, we as civilians are responsible for every round we send down range. So if I can't make a hit on the range in a static environment with a shot timer against my head, right, or someone saying, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, it's very unlikely that under the stress of a gunfight that I'm going to somehow elevate my game. In fact, it's the opposite. Psychological studies have been done again and again and again. Force on force will demonstrate this. Officer-involved shooting will demonstrate this. You talk to any combat vet, everybody says the same thing. You revert to the lowest level of training that you have, because you're in a flight fear response and your body is simply responding to the threat and trying to survive. So all the cognitive awareness really goes out the window. I see a threat, I'm trying to deal with the threat. In summary, what I'm saying here is really think through your Second Amendment rights and how you're exercising them. Get training, go somewhere. And for me, I'm a huge training junkie. I'm constantly training with different people. As an instructor, that helps me, but I'm also, getting exposed to a lot of different things. So every time I get to take a class with someone else, I take it. There is no right way to win a gunfight other than to win. So whether you shoot Weaver, whether you shoot isosceles, whether you shoot a revolver, whether you shoot a semi, it's irrelevant. What really matters is your mind and the processing of the information that you have when you're stressed out. So guys, do some thinking about this and really make sure that you're putting, yourself in a position where you can win the fight, protect your family, and do the right thing. If you can, run away. If you can, hide. Fight's only the last option. When you're in that situation, remember, we've got to identify those 5 things. Does the threat have weapon, capability, and intent? Are you going to make decisions in terms of using your handgun, long gun, shotgun that are court defensible and tactically sound? Those 5 key elements, again from my friend and fellow instructor Greg Cruz, are really, really important. Guys, thanks so much. Apologize for the long-winded explanation on this. It's important as firearm owners that we're responsible for this, and particularly in this heightened state of active shooters, that we really think through what we're doing with regards to our personal responsibility in self-defense and personal protection. If you have any thoughts, or some people may disagree with this, let us know in the comment box. I do try to respond to comments. Certainly appreciate those people who comment. I know some people disagree with some of the things that we put out on the channel, and that's okay. I think it's good to have a dialogue and a discussion about different ideas and concepts. So I certainly welcome your input and your thoughts. Finally, and as always, stay safe.